Hey, what's up? My name is Josh. I am an educator that helps people manage their relationship with devices. I'm going to just give you a little bit of information about my thoughts on social media and why I think you should be careful about the way that you use it. Now, firstly, hopefully you've never had an experience of cyberbullying or predation or, some of the bad things that happen online. But just because you haven't had it happen to you doesn't mean it hasn't happened or doesn't happen. So the number one thing that I want you to think about is your privacy settings. And I know that people go on and on about it, but really, if you don't shut down the data that you're giving out online, the companies will use it to sell you things, people will build profiles about you, and your risk of exposure to predators and unsavory people just is really quite increased. So I'm going to link below to a handy guide that we put together that will help you change those privacy settings, either with your parents' help or without, depending on your age. So that's number one. Number two is really what you watch really does change the way that you think about yourself and the world. And you might not think that. You might think you can just watch whatever you want on TV, online, on your social media feeds, and it doesn't impact you at all. But it really does. And let me give you an example. I've had a bad relationship with social media. I mean, I've been there. I've been 3-4 hours stuck in the hole, scrolling through social media, watching every video that pops up, not really thinking about it. And it's a sad place to be. That's not the person that I want to be. That's not the person that would come up here at sunrise to look at this beautiful view. And the reason for that is that those videos stimulate you. They stimulate the feeling component of your brain, your hormonal system. So you might not even enjoy the content, but it's making you feel something. So it's making endorphins rushing through your body or adrenaline, like if it's a scary video. So how this happened with me is that, I managed to break the habit. So about a week went past and I hadn't watched anything through my social media feed. And then I watched a video of this guy getting pulled over by the cops in the States, and they were threatening to pepper spray him. And I immediately noticed that my adrenaline was rushing. My heart was beating. I was in that car with him, right? And what you have to understand is that based on what you feel, your brain builds an understanding about the world. So at that moment, I was building a belief around the world that it's dangerous, I need to be careful about authority figures or whatever the assumptions I was building that were attaching to those feelings I was having. And that was not true of my context, right? That was somebody's life out in the States that had nothing to do with me. And so you got to understand that when you watch content online, it changes the way that you think about the world. It changes the way you think about yourself. And this is this really big fantasy versus reality dynamic of social media, is that if you consume social media content that has no context, that has no kind of basis in reality, and we've seen all the filters that are out there, and we've seen the ways that deep fake technology is manipulating what we think is true in the world. The whole thing about fake news. You got to understand that if we start building our beliefs and our assumptions about the world based on social media, on the kind of fake media that's out there, we're going to be left with a really hard crashing down to reality when we actually see that what we expect and what we see are not the same. So if we build our assumptions about what it is to be successful, what it is to be happy, what it is to be cool, what it is to feel content based on what we see in media, when we try and achieve those things, we're going to be left with frustration, depression, anxiety, and trust me, I've been there. It's not fun. So I really want you to be careful about what you're watching online. You might disagree with your parents about how much you're watching, but as a human being, you can choose what you're watching. So please do that. And I can't remember what the last one was, so I'll have to make a video at another stage. So that's just 2 big ideas for you to think about. The video is even shorter now. Sorry, I did think of it. Now you have to keep watching. So the last idea is really that you have to think about the opportunity cost. And that's maybe not something that you're familiar with. But when you choose anything in life, it means that you're not choosing something else. So this morning, as you can see, big, beautiful, beautiful sunrise morning. I could have slept in, and I wouldn't be standing here on this rock making a video for you. So my choice to get up means that I'm not sleeping. When you choose to get lost in social media, and you do choose it, you know there's that moment where you open I open Facebook, I know you don't. You open whatever platform that you open and you start scrolling. That's that moment of choice. And once you're in, if you're anything like me, once you're in, you're in. And then it takes something big to disrupt you. Maybe it's your parents in your context, or an alarm goes off, or you finally realize, I've got that homework to do, or that work to do. But the point is that when you choose to get lost in social media, you choose not to do something else. You choose not to go and talk to your brother or your sister about how their day's been, or FaceTime a friend to find out how they're doing, or complete some work that needs to be done. You're choosing not to do that. And that's dangerous, because when you start losing out on life, life gets very small and gets very sad. So that's the last big idea, is that when you choose social media, you're not choosing something else. And when you don't choose something of value, that's an opportunity cost. I hope I've given you some things to think about. Those are 3 ideas for you to mull around with. Thank you. If you do want to get hold of me and tell me why you think social media is awesome, please do. I'm going to put my email address below this, or you can even just comment on this video if you're watching it on Facebook or one of the other social medias, because I'd love to get your perspective. Why do you think you should be on social media? Tell me what you love about it, because I need to get information that I can give back to your parents so that they'll get off your back as well. I know I've chatted a lot, there's a lot in here, but I got one last thing I want to say. Listen, if your parents are on your back about how you use your devices, you got to show them that you can do something different. So you can renegotiate how you guys interact with your devices at home, but it has to be based on how you've performed in the past. Okay, so stop making promises about what you're going to do. Show your parents something different by doing something different, and hopefully they'll give you more freedom if you deserve it. Okay, I've said enough. I'm going to leave you with this beautiful sunrise. Let me try and get out of the shot, and yeah, have a great day. Cheers.